So what happened was that at 40, that was my first attempted suicide. You overeat and that caused other health issues like diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, and also mental. So it's like end of the... So finally at 41, after I survived the first attempted suicide, what I did was I sought help.
Welcome. You are watching YanaTV, where we have authentic conversations with impactful and conscious people of Asia. My name is Yana Fry, and today with us in the studio we have Sanjeev Gathani, very special guest who is going to be talking with us about health, about physical health, and particularly about overcoming obesity. And Sanjeev has an incredible story. He even won awards that he's going to talk about today in the video about physical health. Can you imagine?
So my story starts about 25 years ago, right? So when I was born as a child, I was underweight.
Okay.
So I was undernourished.
I'm sorry about that.
No one would have ever thought I would have tipped the scales when I started working. So my maximum weight was 130 at 35 years of age, and I could barely walk. I had a lot of health issues. The other health issues that came were hypertension, because that comes with weight, diabetes, and then I got one more, because good things come in three. So I had cholesterol, and it just went on and on because I love food. So I'm a foodie, right? I can't resist food. So over the years, I just kept on tipping.
It's probably not like you became from undernourished baby to massively overweight adult, if I may say so.
Yes.
It doesn't happen in one day. And the reason also why we're having this conversation today is just to raise awareness about how it is happening, so people also become a bit more aware in the future. And maybe if it is everything fine right now, even in the younger age, you never know how it's going to be in 20, 30 years from now, and all the complications for health and mental health, which I know your story, so I also would love you to share that.
Nothing happens overnight. So the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, right? Like what they say. So how I got to that stage is that I love food. Like I told you, I kept eating. So as you keep eating, your stomach expands. So it's never enough, right? I thought that I'm hungry, but it's not I'm hungry. I'm just eating for the sake of eating, right? So it's a balance of input, output. My input was so much, but the output was barely anything, negligible. And then what happens to all that food converts into fat. Right? So that became a huge problem.
Yeah, and we also know the more we eat, then the bigger stomach becomes,
exactly.
Right? So it's really hard to feel it.
Correct. And then I used to go to visit the washroom very frequently, thinking that that's okay. But that's not okay,
that's
because
not okay.
Normally you only go once a day, right? If you overeat or you're unwell, then there are 2-3 times, right? So that's how it all accumulated over time. Right? And that caused other health issues, like I mentioned, diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, and also mental. Because mentally, I was drained, I was tired, I was lethargic. And because my partner, who still is my partner, who I married twice, by the way.
That is quite amazing. Did you get divorced officially?
Yeah. And then I got remarried. So she is like drop dead gorgeous. For a mother of 2, I think it's like Beauty and the Beast.
Congratulations, Beauty and the Beast.
Right? So it was like I struggled with mental issues because I had low self-esteem. So what happened was that at 40, before I turned 41, so that was my first attempted suicide, where I survived. Right? Because I was so down and out mentally, emotionally, financially, every way. Right? So it's like end of the world. Yeah, people are not kind. They are nowhere kind. Even when you sit in the MRT, people look at you like, this is a weird person. Right? So finally, at 41, after I survived the first attempted suicide, where I took 45 paracetamol, and I survived.
And I have to say this also very clearly, to our audience, that if you are right now at the stage of your life where you're not feeling well mentally and you're feeling very vulnerable, then we do encourage you to reach out for help. And we're going to include the number in the description of this video. So make sure you call that number if you need help and you ask for help.
What I did was I sought help. I called up, I got advice to go and lose weight. So then I asked,
but this is like easier said than done.
Exactly.
People say it all the time.
Yeah, so then I said, what do I do? So I found out the methods. Then I basically went through the whole procedure. So I went through bariatric surgery.
It's when they basically cut your stomach, right?
Yes.
They make your stomach like physically smaller.
Correct. And then they short circuit the process where the food flows through from your mouth down to your throat and then to your stomach. So your large intestine, small intestine, so you will be in ICU for 2 days. So it's not a child's play because it's about 6-7 hours. So they basically re-engineer everything inside, and then you start a new life as a baby.
Okay.
You imagine you're 135, right? You go for an operation, they cut your stomach and they put it aside. You can't give your body that shock. So you have to slowly start again readjusting. Right, so you start with baby food, liquid food. So it's a mental challenge. So you got to play your mind, and then you got to exercise, because in life there is no shortcut. Right, a lot of people say that diet alone doesn't work. Diet has to come with exercise, because exercise gives you that healthier lifestyle. Right, because then you will change. So you have to start with what I say, a practice. Right? Because once it's a practice, then it becomes a hobby.
I like that.
Right? Once it's a hobby, right, then it'll become a passion. And once it's a passion, it'll become a religion. And once it becomes a religion, Yana, no one ain't got to tell you anything. You will automatically do it. And that's the stage where I've reached now. That to me, it's a religion. Exercise and diet are religion to me. So that's why I say start as a baby, just like a baby. First they learn how to crawl, right? The first step they take, they fall. Then they wait. Then they try the next. Then they wait. Then they try. That's exactly what I had to do. Because though I was a man, but inside I was a baby. So it was a challenge.
How did you deal with that? Like reintegration back after the operation. How did that go?
So that required a 2-prong or 3-prong approach. The first step is you needed the family support, which is very, very important. They need to understand you, your behavioral needs, your moods, everything, your food. So very important, right? Because empty stomach will make you headache.
Yeah, and also make you probably angry and,
exactly.
and depressed,
angry,
maybe sometimes,
depressed.
right?
So you need to get your family support. That's the first. Second, you need to have a plan, right? Like they say in ISO, plan, do, check, act. You need to have a plan of exercise, then check, then act upon it, right? So you need to start small by walking maybe 1 kilometer, then 1.5, then 1.6. So slowly to build up your cardiovascular, right? And do something that you like. Don't do something that you don't like, right? It's very important. So for me, I sought that in cycling and running. So I love cycling, right? And I love running. And I've been doing it for the past now 15 years.
Wow.
Because I'm 54.
I know you even run marathons, right? I mean, you do like some massive sport exercises these days.
Yeah, so my cycling is with the Right to Surf, which is by the Sikh community in Singapore, where we raise funds for the less fortunate, the vulnerables. So basically, we ride from Malaysia to Singapore over 3 days, right? And that's about 600 kilometers.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and we are doing next year 800 from Ipoh to Singapore.
Wow.
That's over 5 days. So we enjoy that, and we believe there is a purpose in life.
And I love how you said it here. So it's not only about exercising, it's actually about finding community with whom you can exercise and a bigger purpose to your exercise. Otherwise, it's very hard to sustain if you're just one person.
Exactly. So like our group, every Sunday we meet for cycling at 7 a.m. Regardless of rain, shine, we are there. Come may what. So whoever you are doesn't matter at the corporate sector. When you come here, you're equal.
What do you think is the bigger purpose in life? I'm curious.
Okay, so to me now, Yana, I have learned you came with a name, you leave with a legacy. When I went through my journey, I thought if I can spread the word and tell people there is always a solution to everything. It's whether you want to take it or you don't want to take it, right? You got to be determined, you got to be persistent. You cannot give up.
What was the turning point for you? Because from what I know, people, again, even I know personally, who have been suffering from obesity, often, of course, they understand and they want things to get better and they want to be healthier, but they don't act on it. You know, that's the thing. Or they start and then they stop again and then they get frustrated and they start again and stop again. And it's like an endless vicious cycle. So what was the turning point for you to actually say, okay, this is it. I'm going to make a fundamental change forever and it's going to be my new life.
How I am able to sustain for so long, it's passion. Because passion, like I told you, became religion. When it becomes religion, no one tells you to go to the temple, church, or whichever place of worship, you go automatically, right? So it's in my DNA now.
The exercise and the running and the healthy food.
Yes, so it's a total change, right? So you got to reach that level, but you got to do something that you like and not something that people force you. So to answer the first part of the question, what triggered it? And as you know, in Singapore, most people, they're very conscious about how they look. So basically when I was on board a flight to India, so I was on Singapore Airlines, I was in economy class, and that was the trigger point.
Yeah, because you couldn't fit in the seat
Exactly,
probably, right?
Yana,
This
yes,
is what
you got
exactly,
it correct.
yeah.
The seat was economy, and I was on the aisle, so there are two people on the other side of me, and then when the tray table comes down, it didn't work. It didn't work. Because where do the tray table go? Is it my stomach or is it the tray table? I couldn't fit into the seat belt. So they had to give me the extension. So I felt very embarrassed. It was a 5.5 hour flight. So when I landed, I said, enough is enough. I have to make a decision. And then I decided to change. And I just typed lose weight. Then I did the research, and then I went for my bariatric, which I mentioned, but no one in my family knew. Not a living soul. Neither did my partner. So I told her I'm going for a business trip. I just packed an empty bag. I went to the hospital. I checked in. I did the operation. And then the surgeon calls her, says that your husband is in ICU.
Well, the people who are listening to us today, I find, especially when it comes to obesity, or actually, you know what, it's also any change in the lifestyle. It could be anything, maybe wanting to quit smoking or drinking or any kind of addiction, or on contrary, let's say if you want to maybe like spend more time with your family, with your wife or children, right? So it's changing habits that we're talking about. And from what I know about changing habits, we are creating new neural pathways in our brain. And it's already scientifically proven a long time ago that if we have been doing something, let's say like compulsive eating, the neural pathways are like highway. They're very bright and very white and very easy, you know, to go. And let's say healthy eating, maybe not. So for the beginning, it's not easy to get up and do sport every day and to change your food. But the good news here is actually the more the person is doing this new type of life, then the stronger neural pathways becoming in the brain. And eventually, as you said, it becomes passion, and in your words, religion. It means it becomes easier. You no longer think, you kind of almost forget that other part that you have been before, right? Which I think is wonderful. So a few more questions before we wrap up for today. So one, I think it's also important just in terms of awareness when we talk about obesity among executives, because that's also such a just huge topic of itself. I personally know many, particularly men for some reason, who would be above 50, and often they would be in leadership positions. They could be founders, CEOs, C-suite leaders, and they're really suffering from health issues because they have been spending so much time, achieving a career and creating all this wealth in terms of money, that usually health and relationships is what's being sacrificed in that stage. Your message to them, I'm just curious to hear here.
No, brilliant, Yana, again. So if I can say, when we are in our 20s, we are starting our career. 30s, we are solidifying it. 40s, we are enjoying it. And 50s, you're repaying it back. Why I say that? Because when you're in the 50s, you accumulated your wealth to pay for your health.
Which really shouldn't be the case, right?
Which shouldn't be the case.
That's why I think it's important to think about it from day one.
Exactly.
When you're in 20, you should think where you're going to be in 30 years from now.
Correct, Yana. That's why at 20, if I had known that, I would have controlled my diet. Right? Today, I'm blessed with 2 boys. They are in their 20s and they are exactly telling me, Daddy, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to do this, I want to exercise. They are planting the seeds for the 50s, which I did it at 50s and 40s. So to all the executives who are out there who are in the C-suite, don't take it lightly, because don't spend your wealth for your health.
Yes, and again, even from a scientific point of view, there are so many already, articles and just discoveries that show the connection between the brain and physical exercises. And they call it like priming in the morning. So it actually creates all the good hormones in your body and in your mind. So it sets you for day, which is really important.
So if you do that daily, right, I think you're in good standing. Right, because I think if you notice the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, our founding father also, he used to exercise every day. Right, it's very important to keep your mental state. And what I find, Yana, now I run my own business, that when I exercise, I get ideas. My mind is clear. I am in better check of my emotional state of mind. There is no reason not to do it. Right? I mean, unless you just don't want to do it. And if you feel that you can't walk, okay, maybe just come down one bus stop before.
Yes, exactly. Do something. This is the point.
Do something.
And I love, with your advice also, I find it's not only for executives, it's definitely not only for men, it's also for women. And not only if you're above 50 or 40, it's also the same for kids, for the university students, or those, Z generation and millennials. And I mean, I always, hear the words of my mom, who still these days, she keeps telling me, take care of your body. This is the biggest gift from God, the only one you get for the entire life. And only later you understand the value of it. Like when you're in your 20s and 30s, you often think you are what is this word for this? You cannot be destroyed, basically. This is what I'm trying to say. Because you feel that the whole, life is ahead of you. You can eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want. And maybe when you're 20, it does work, but then you pay the price in your 50s and 60s. And I do find, yes, the message about healthy body is very important.
And like what you said, what you sow is what you get. I truly believe you came into the world as a baby, you are helpless. That whole cycle will come back. Because exactly what you said, your mom told you, right? Yana, take care of your body. You only got one. My dad told me the same thing. For the longest time, I will never listen. Right? He said, son, you are ballooning like a balloon. I couldn't fit into clothes. When I went to tailors, they charged me more money.
Of course.
They said, you need extra material. So to me, it's very, very important. Take care of yourself. You only got yourself to love.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev. That was amazing. And that was Sanjeev today on YanaTV talking about the importance of physical health. And I really don't want to sound like your mother or your sister or your aunt saying that, but it is so important. And I have also listened to my mom earlier, who have been telling me this, Yana, take care of your body. And I just want to remind everyone who is watching us with this episode, whatever age you are, whatever your life circumstances, as Sanjeev said today, try to walk every day, exercise, eat healthy, get out of that bus stop one stop earlier, or take, stairs instead of the elevator. And in 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, you will really thank yourself. So thank you for watching today, and see you next time.
And then I'm looking at the air stewardess, and she's looking at me. Sir, next time maybe you would like to buy business class.
Well, this is not kind either, but I guess that was the fact.
Yeah.